What up, guys? It's Bananaowns here, bringing you part 55 of my Skyward Sword Let's Play, and in this video, we're gonna start doing the 6th dungeon of the game, the Fire Sanctuary. Now, this dungeon, I've talked about it a little bit in past videos. It's not my most favorite dungeon in the game. It's by no means bad. It's just, it feels like it it feels out of place to me. I don't know if like that makes sense considering the Earth Temple earlier the Earth Temple earlier had a very big lava feel towards it, and it feels very too similar. Like, I realize it's in a volcano, but it's still way too similar to be like a different, especially in a game like this where the dungeons are fairly easier. They're fairly shorter and more linear than past Zelda dungeons. So having a game that feels ultimately similar in theme is kind of a misstep in my defense. Yeah, it's kind of a misstep, but it's still very well designed at least. So I'm not knocking it on there. It's still very fun to play, but it's just not my favorite, just because of that reason. You know, when you were starting to repeat dungeon designs or like repeat dungeon themes, when in your game with like 6 dungeons, and especially compared to something like a Twilight Princess, where I feel like all the dungeons had a very different feel to them. They were very different in aesthetics, at least. Like, you had a forest temple and a Goron fire dungeon temple, and then you had a lake temple, like very Zora heavy, and then you had a basically a desert prison, which was really cool. Then was it Snow Peak was next, so you had a mansion located in the mountains, which was really cool as well. And then Temple of Time as a dungeon, that's never been done before as a dungeon. Then City in the Sky, an area up in the sky. And then even the Twilight Realm, the Twilight Palace, was also very unique in that regard, because it. And then even Hyrule Castle was so basically, like, all the dungeons in Twilight Princess were thematically very different, which I really enjoyed. And I really enjoy that because it just feels different. It doesn't feel like the same. And that's where this dungeon has those issues, is that it just feels exactly the same as like it's basically very similar to the Earth Temple, Earth Dungeon, or yeah, whatever, one of those. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't knock on it. Some people like this more than the Earth Temple, or some people really like this dungeon, but hey, that's a good thing about a Zelda game. I don't think any dungeon is universally hated. Maybe the Water Temple and Ocarina of Time, just for the whole thing about difficulty of the temple, even though I feel like that dungeon was more difficult for most people because we were all kids when we played it, or we were all like a lot younger. So maybe that's why it seems a bit more difficult than it was, because we didn't have kind of the mindset to really like solve these puzzles easy. Maybe that is a whole thing with this game as well, where I feel like it is very easy to solve. Actually, maybe that's getting into my mindset here. Maybe it's because I'm basically an adult. I'm a full functioning adult playing this game. So maybe that's why some of these dungeons or some of this temple seems like really linear to me. If that really makes sense. Maybe that's what's affecting it. Maybe it's like the wave of nostalgia, or like basically growing up. Like, especially since like these games, I would say, except for Twilight Princess, which was very fan service to people that loved Ocarina of Time. But something like this game obviously was made for all ages, but I have to admit some of the design choices for explaining a lot of the obvious makes it seem like it was really well designed for more kids to play it. But there's nothing necessarily bad thing about it, but I'm just saying maybe it's because this game is more designed to be like more kid-friendly in just regards to being able to like help kids decide what they want to do and stuff like that. Maybe that's why it seems a little bit easier to me, just because I'm not the like target audience. I don't know, maybe I'm just like talking a lot of bullshit here, but anyway, this game is easier, and this dungeon isn't my favorite, but I think it's cool because it has an empty bottle in here and a free heart piece. And has one of the better buff boss fights. Any boss fight, well, basically, if you fight Girahim in this game, I'm gonna give the dungeon a bit of slack if you fight Girahim, or if you do like a 1v1 sword battle, because those are fucking cool. That there's my inner like 10-year-old like, oh, doing a 1v1 sword battle, that's fucking awesome. Okay, so you see, I'm basically climbing on. There's those little lava hand enemies, which are really cool to fight against, because you have to use water to basically turn them into stone, and then break them with your sword. So that's really cool, but we can't do anything about that yet. We need to get the magma mitts, basically the item of this dungeon, before we can do anything about it. And those don't come until, I think, next video. So yeah, so it's kind of difficult, but there's a couple extra hidden goodies. There's a piece of heart in here, and there's an empty bottle, which is really handy dandy. And this is a very souped up Lizafo. So again, use the same strategy though. He just takes more hits to kill, but he's very easy to actually take out. It's just he has more health. That's like, I don't like that gameplay choice in games where the enemies themselves don't get more difficult, but their damage that they do increases, and their health increases. I feel like that's a very cheap cop-out for difficulty, and especially when they just put more enemies on the screen. I don't know exactly how to kind of offset some of those issues. Maybe just like designing like the AI or something, make them smarter on hard difficulty, make them more likely to try different strategies or to surprise you. I'm not like a game designer at all, so I don't really have like a really solid plan, but I don't know, I just don't like it when game difficulty is like arbitrarily difficult. I think I'm looking at you, Call of Duty. Those games are on veteran. Those games just end up like you get shot by like one bullet, you die, or like you pop your head out for like 2 seconds, and then like you're in the screen with all the jelly covering it, and then especially I think, what was it, World at War, with the grenades the enemies threw, which they had like magnetic all-knowing grenades, which was fucking bullshit. So that was kind of not good as well. So I don't really enjoy games like that, but I enjoy the games, but I think it's a cheap design to do stuff like that. So I really dislike stuff like that, actually. And damn it, my beetle runs out before I place the bomb, but no biggie, we got those extra rupees there. So we can just go straight into this little tunnel right here and pick up the bomb instead of going in that huge, like, long or roundabout way of doing things. Just get extra rupees, because you can never have enough rupees, you know, like, I have a 1,144 right now. It's a pretty good number. I can always use more. I can hold a lot more. I can hold like 5,000. And hold on, let me pause and take like a sip of my water right here. I was really thirsty. My throat was really, really dry right there. I'm gonna have to grab more water before I continue doing this. Hopefully my voice isn't getting too like gravelly. Like, I'm kind of recording these a little bit later on at night, so let's see how this goes. I'm just trying to crank these out so I can really focus on what I have on just the recording aspect, because I'm pretty much done with the game. I have the final boss battles, and that's it. And I'm looking forward to playing those. I'm kind of trying to make like an event out of playing those. I want to get like a bunch of friends over, and you know, have like a little party for completing this Let's Play. As nerdy as it sounds, I'm really proud of finishing this Let's Play. Okay, so you see this moblin over here. He's kind of tied up, but he's the one that gives you the dungeon. Oh, dungeon. He's the one that gives you the magma mitts, which are the item of the dungeon. You'll use them a lot. So you have to go free them, but you can't do anything right now. You're just here to get a small key. And also that you're noticing right now, this is like the second use of the... No, not the third use of the leaf blower, where you can cool off these like pieces of like magma. So like the leaf blower is so like fucking useless though. You use it to move platforms, to blow off sand, and to cool off the magma, and that's pretty much it. Use it so sparingly. I don't know. It's just weird. Okay, so gotta ditch that magma. It's really sad. He's like hanging up by chain, but it could be worse. He could be like a little bit closer to the lava. If there's any like silver lining to that. can be a little bit closer. You can be like right next to you can. That would suck to be like hanging right in front of like lava, like right above it. I think like you'd be just feeling the heat on you, and oh god, it'd be so traumatizing. It'd be very traumatizing, actually. Indeed, I think about it, just feel like the heat, because you can feel like when you just have like a fire next to you, the heat is absolutely ridiculous. I couldn't even imagine being over like lava or like molten, and especially by like a chain. You think like the chain? I think it's hooked up to the guy's backpack, but if it's like hooked up to like anywhere like on his like fur or skin, it'd be like burning him. This got really dark. This Zelda got really dark right now, talking about like chains and being like killed and shit. But okay, so there's like a few like goodies over here. Just dig and pick up treasure chests. But okay, let's see. So this is a very interesting puzzle mechanic in this game. Are these little water bulb plants, and you use them to basically make platforms and to put out stuff and to attack those hand enemies I was talking about earlier. So it's really cool because it's different, because you have to. I remember the first time I actually played through this game, I got stuck in that room for a good 30 minutes before I figured out I was supposed to thrust and get those water bulbs, because they don't really. See, I complain about this game not telling you what to do, or I complain about this game telling you what to do too much, but in an instance where it doesn't tell you what to do, I'm getting all pissed off because it's like really vague and you don't really expect that's what you're supposed to do, so that's really awkward. Okay, so now, but it was a very well designed part in retrospective, because it shows you that you can thrust your sword through the little opening of those plants and pick up the little water bowl. So it teaches you to do that, and it's really well designed because you need to use them for this boss battle. And it also is a very well designed thing, again, because you realize that that you can use these hands in order to get up. So in retrospect, that's very well designed as well. They teach you basically how to do the boss battle without saying anything, which I really enjoy games that are designed like that. Okay, so I hit one of the hands, and you just break them, and that's really easy. So I need to go back and get another little water bulb thing. But I still gotta avoid this hand right now. Okay, let's get this. Okay, you ready? There we go. Let's get up here. Stab this little thing. I was like trying to Skyward strike at it. That was awkward. And let's get this last hand. So come at me, bro. Come at me, bro. See, and then you flick your wrist, and it feels really intuitive. I really like it, actually. And there we go. Those hands are done. They're 6 feet under in hand heaven right now, or hand hell. Well, that about concludes this video. So see you later.